half a decade ago, I did January 5th, 2020. I did a video for my favorite albums of the 2010s. And at the time, I was satisfied, I was happy with all that stuff. But over time, things changed, obviously, for me. Some albums changed, some positions changed and stuff like that, and I figured it's time I do it differently, obviously. And, redo this. And even maybe do this as a video series as well. So, obviously, this is the revisiting and the redoing of my favorite albums of the 2010s. That's right, 10 albums. Obviously, like I said, this is probably maybe a video series. Also, what's up, everyone? Ryan Arnold, aka Demon Master Reviews here. And like I said, this is going to be a series of videos. I am planning on doing not just this decade, but the 2000s, 1990s, and the 1980s. Was thinking of the 70s, but I realized that's a lot of work that I'd have to put in for that one. I wanted to do some that were relatively easy, and these were the four decades I wanted to do. And probably when I do my top 50 stream, I will probably talk about the halfway marks of obviously the 5 of the 2020s so far, obviously. So yeah, like I said, there's 10 albums in this. Each year from 2010 to 2019 has one album from each. And yeah, let's get started with number 10. This is one that I don't think has changed because it was on the original one. The Devil Wears Prada's Zombie EP. This is my favorite of 2010. This is number 10. It is an EP. It's it's an EP of the zombie apocalypse. And I honestly prefer this one over Zombie 2 because let's say it kind of fell off after, the first couple of tracks and stuff like that. But the original is fantastic. It's very heavy. Very, very heavy. It's heavier than anything they had done up to this point. And it's obviously it's a concept. It's about the zombie apocalypse. It is the heaviest Mike's harsh vocals have ever sounded. His gutturals are just it's just fantastic. Fantastic. And I absolutely love it, but unfortunately it's at number 10. So there's others that are definitely better than it. That are definitely better than it. And we're about to get to one of those. If I start organizing this correctly now. Alright. Number 9. This was, I believe, one that was on the original as well. We might be getting to some that are about to change. But this is number 9. This is the 2018. My favorite of 2018. Coheed and Cambria's Vaxis Act 1, The Unheavenly Creatures. The first one in the Vaxis saga. Hence why I said Act 1, The Unheavenly Creatures. And those are the two protagonists of the whole album. And then he just announced the third part. So I will be super excited. But obviously it's kind of what you were expecting. The prog rock, prog metal. Kind of still the pop punk that they were in the early days of like Second Stage and Silent Earth, but still definitely predominantly the prog stuff. A great album, still absolutely love it, and yeah, freaking fantastic. But it is number 9. Number 8. This one was originally, it's a 2017 album. Originally, I think I had Nocturnal Mortem's Verity, but after quite a bit of time since, obviously last year, this is a band I did a deep dive for with Metal Tempest and Brian, who was only a part of this for 2 of them. But I realized that this was clearly the better album than Verity. While I loved Verity, I realized the importance of this one, and that album in particular, is Bell Witch's Mirror Reaper. Their 2017 album, they made this, the passing of Adrian Garrett, and it's got Jesse Shriebman on the drums. But Adrian did have some contribution to this. He did some vocals on this album. And yeah, it's one long song, pretty much, as you can tell. I finally actually own a copy of this album. Finally. But yeah, I realized that this one's a lot more special than the Verity album from Nocturnal Mortem. And yeah, yes, it's Funeral Doom. It's very foreboding, but I realize this is clearly the best one of 2017. And it's not even close. But yeah, Mirror Reaper from 2017 is number 8. Number 7, these two, number 6, I guess you could say 6 and 7 are kind of, these were two that were originally on the original, one. And yeah, An Abstract Illusion, Illuminate the Path is number 7. And then Atonement is Nigh is number 6. Obviously, it took me a while to fully love this album, but after hearing the cover a little bit more, I absolutely love the cover, and I think the album is perfect. Perfect now. And then obviously this at number 6. Fantastic EP. 3 songs with the first track, The Sun Will Bleach All Bones. Fantastic 60-minute song. Absolutely love these two, and I'm glad I own a physical copy of this one and this. And I also have Woe as well. But these are fantastic albums. Love the hell out of them. And they are numbers 6 and 7. Obviously, Atonement is Nigh 2014, and Illuminate the Path is 2016. So yeah, those are number 6 and number 7. Now we get into the top 5, and this was one of two that has changed on the list. Originally, if you would remember, I think I showed it on the original thumbnail. This was originally the 2013 album. But that has changed because I realized this one's kind of special and this was after I did a retrospective for them. This was when I was still doing retrospectives on the channel, and I realized how big of a deal this album is. And that album in particular is Kaladin Brood's Echoes of Battle, their one and only album from 2013. It's basically summoning worship, but makes summoning look like they're copying them. This is way, way better. It's obviously atmospheric black metal, but it's also got some doom here and there, some melodic death metal here and there, but definitely kind of it's much more than, yes, it's summoning worship, but it's much, much more than that. And it's just, this album is just kind of a special album that I feel like, is deserving of being on here. And no offense, I love the James LaBrie album. Absolutely love that album. But I realized there's something special about this one. And it has to be up here for the 2010s, and it's album of the year for me in 2013. Yeah. But yeah, Kaladin Brood, Echoes of Battle, my album of the year for 2013, and it is number 5. Number 4 is one I don't have, unfortunately, but originally this would have been my album of the year of 2019. But after some time, I realized the novelty of, yes, I still love this Fear Inoculum from Tool, their first album in 13 years. But I realized I was kind of shitting on the album that was actually deserving to be a number 1. And when I get to talk about the 2020s so far in my top 50 near the end of this month, you'll see why this guy's going to be all over the list at the moment. He's going to probably have multiple albums at number 1. And it's obviously 2019. This one's from number 4. It's the 2019 album of the year, Empath by Devin Townsend. After I thought about it, and I'm like, I realized this is the better album in 2019. No offense to Fear Inoculum. Love Fear Inoculum. But I realized that nostalgia of like finally a new Tool album, it's kind of worn off, and I realized that Empath is the better album than Fear Inoculum. Absolutely the better album of 2019, and it's easily near the top of the list when it comes to the 2010s. And yeah, it's Devin's he's a genius, and there's a reason Devin's a genius. And yeah, but it's the only Devin one, because he was close on several occasions, 2011 with the Deconstruction and Ghost, but he couldn't beat, I'll get to those. 2012, it wasn't able to, it was number 3. 2011, in 2012, it was number 2. 2014, Losing to Atonement is 9. Stuff like it. 2016 wasn't even close to Eliminate the Path. It was probably in the lower top 10s. But he finally broke through in this one in 2019. Granted, he broke through in 2021. I'll talk about that when I do the 50. But yes, after much thinking about this one's taking me half a decade to think about it. But I realized, yeah, that album is the better one. No offense to Tool. Love the Tool album. But yeah, Devin Townsend's Empath is a better album, and that one is number 4. Now we get to the top 3. Number 3, Book of Souls by Iron Maiden. I mean, this was one of these 3 were at the top, and for good reason. This album is still perfect. Granted, I do think the Red and the Black is the weakest song on this, and it shouldn't have been 13 minutes, maybe about 10 or 11, maybe 9, but the rest of the album, If Eternity Should Fail, Speed of Light, a great short song. The Great Unknown's great. When the River Runs Deep. The title track is fantastic. I love the title track. Death or Glory, Shadows of the Valley, Tears of a Clown, The Man of Sorrows, and then obviously the epic theater, the Empire of the Clouds. Freaking fantastic. Absolutely love this album front to back. It may be a double album, but fuck it. It's a fantastic album, and it's number 3. In the bronze position, Iron Maiden, Book of Souls. Fantastic album. But now we come to these 2 here. You got Dream Theater, Dramatic Theater Events, and Winter Sun Time 1. Which one is number 1? Originally, in the original video, I would have said this was number 1. But after some realization, this is no longer number 1. This is number 2. And it pains me. And I love this album so much. First one with Mangini, I technically still count part of the Portnoy, the Rudess era, but it wouldn't be a while before we get another great Dream Theater album, because we had some in between this and A View from the Top of the World that are kind of like stinkers. I think everybody knows what those albums are. But this is easily one of my favorite Dream Theater albums of all time. It is my favorite Dream Theater album of all time. It's easily number 1 for me. But unfortunately, it's not number 1 anymore. That honor, of course, now goes to the original Time 1 by Winter Sun. The original, the 2012 version. Not 1.5, and certainly not 2.0. The original one. A fantastic album front to back, and I prefer this over the Dream Theater album. This is my number 1 of the 2010s now, and I absolutely love it. It is arguably one of the greatest albums I've ever heard, and it was a changing of the guard for me of what I would eventually love, because of stuff like this. Maybe start to love more of melodic death metal, progressive death metal, progressive metal, and stuff like that. Melodic metal in general. This is the turning point right here for me. Time 1, the original Time 1. Maybe I might give 2.0 a chance, hopefully. But for now, this is the best version of Time 1. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it is my number 1. The 2012 album of the year for me is my number 1 of the decade. And yeah. Thank y'all for watching. This has been my best album of the 2010s. Hope y'all enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button or dislike button, whatever floats your boat. Comment below what your thoughts are on these albums, or what would your top 10 of the decade be. And if you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button. So yep, thank y'all for watching. This has been the first video in my best of the decade series, the best of 2010s. I will see y'all later, and as always, keep things metal.